Hi, this is Mrs. Kidman, and in this video, we're going to be discussing what it means to prove something or to do a proof. So first, I want to talk about what does it mean to prove something? Well, to prove is a verb, obviously, and it's a verb that really means to demonstrate truth through evidence and argument. Now, sorry, it takes me so long to write, through evidence and argument. Okay, so that sounds like something that we actually do all the time, and it's true. Every time that you write a paper, you're trying to demonstrate truth through evidence and argument. Now, does that mean that you are proving truth? Not necessarily, but we use this idea of evidence and argument to help support a claim, and if we have enough evidence and argument, and it's true, then we can go with that claim. Now, we actually prove things in more than just math. We do proofs all the time. Now, a really common example of when something is proven is in history. Now, in history, when we want to prove that an event has occurred, a lot of the time what we look to is a source as a piece of evidence to say, based on this source, this is what occurred. From what we read in this account, in this first person, second person, whatever it is, in those resources that we find, we can then determine and prove what it was like at that time, how people felt about things, stuff like that. Another example of a time when we prove things is in science. Now, in science, when we want to prove something is true, how do we do it? Well, we do it through experimentation. And with that experimentation, what happens is we do something and we observe, and then we repeat it and we observe again, and we repeat it and we observe again. And through our data, we've collected this evidence that we can then provide to create an argument based on what we have seen, and we demonstrate truth that way. Math, just like history and science, also requires proving. Now, the difference between history, where we use source, or science, where we use experiments, is that in math, what we use is we use logic to prove things are true. We say because A happens and B happens and C happens, that means that this statement is true. And that's what we do, is we use logic. And a lot of the times in our daily life, we use logic to come up with decisions. Those decisions are similar to what we do when we're trying to prove something. Now, the biggest difference between history, science, and math when you're trying to prove something is in history and science, things change. I want you to think about it. All of a sudden, at first, we say someone like Christopher Columbus is a great guy. And then all of a sudden, a new source comes out and people have differing opinions on him. Is he good? Is he bad? Did he do the right thing? Did he do wrong things? What do we know about this guy? As sources appear, things change, and that truth that has been proven isn't necessarily the actual truth. Science is the same way. I want you to think about like the atom. Originally, when we talked about the atom, it had its neutrons and protons in the center, and they used to draw it like this, because we thought that electrons followed these elliptical patterns. And then we found out that this isn't actually true, that the atom, although it's contained in the middle, those protons and neutrons are contained in the middle, those electrons actually just move about in kind of a spherical pattern. We don't know really what that pattern is. It seems random, but they move kind of in this sphere shape, and they're not contained to these elliptical patterns. They can move wherever they want to go. Notice we gathered more evidence, and through that evidence and argument, truth changed. Now, math is unique because once we've proven something is true in math, it's proven true. There's nothing we can do to change that because it's based on logic. If logically something makes sense, there's no way for that thing to no longer logically make sense. So math, once something is proven to be true, is always true. And that's the beauty of it, is it doesn't change. And that's what some of us love so much about it, is math is beautiful because it's a way of understanding things that exist. So when we prove using logic, we're observing a pattern and trying to prove that that pattern will always occur under certain circumstances. And once we've proven it, it will never change. Isn't that just fantastic and beautiful? So in future videos, we're going to talk about how proofs look, and we're going to practice creating some proofs. But what does it mean to prove something? Well, really what we're doing in math when they say complete a proof is we're going to write down a logical list of steps that explain why we're given something, demonstrates that the statement that we're trying to prove is a true statement. And remember, once it's proven true in math, it will always hold true.